Guys, did you hear what she said? This is worrisome. This isn't worrisome. This is sickening. How something like this can happen. I mean, when I was a kid, God's honest truth, I used to, when I was big enough to be able to go fishing in the Sawmill River by myself, I must have been about 9 or 10 years old. And we used to fish at this place called the Falls. The water dropped maybe 3 feet, but it was the only falls in the Sawmill River. Right by the Sand Rock restaurant. So if anybody from Hastings or the Westchester, they know Sand Rock with the Italian influence and everything. But I used to fish there. And one day, one of the bigger kids actually caught a big fish, which was amazing because nobody caught anything. But one night, it was dusk. It was a beautiful summer night. It was gorgeous. It was dusk. The water was calm. It was still. And I had a Chinese buddy of mine. He was going to come down and watch me fish. Well, guys, you couldn't believe the amount of fish that were coming up and feeding. Rock bass, huge, hundreds, thousands. I mean, the mother lode. A few days later, maybe a week later, I don't remember. I go fishing. All the fish are dead. They're all stuck in between the rocks. They're all floating on the water. What the hell's going on here? I was a young kid. I didn't know. I thought maybe they were like salmon. You know, like when salmon swim upstream and then they lay their eggs and they all die. I said, maybe they're like salmon. Well, no, they weren't like salmon. What happened is Stauffer Chemical Company had a chemical plant about 2 miles upriver. And somebody must have dumped a couple of barrels of crap. And it killed all the fish. And I want to tell you, stuff like that, you never forget that as long as you live. Like it was yesterday, I could see those fish. And at first I said to myself, you know, oh, maybe they're salmon. Maybe this is nature's way. It wasn't nature's way. It was the corporate way of saving money. Instead of getting rid of the chemicals the proper way, put it in the community river. And back in the 60s, you know, nobody cared. Nobody knew anything. You know, we were ignorant. We're not ignorant anymore. That's why we're here. That's why we surround ourselves with these question marks. So people will ask questions and will stop ignoring the facts. All right, now, I told you, even Fox got involved. You're not going to believe this. Grab a drink, grab a fatty, whatever you got close to you, because you're going to need something. But here we go. Here's Fox's report. John?
Turning now to our other big story making news out of West Virginia. At this hour, thousands of people are wondering how much longer will they have to endure a do not drink ban as they wait for news on the testing underway of that state's water supply for 9 counties severely affected by a toxic chemical spill. That chemical spill isn't simply interrupting the daily lives of residents in the area. It's also making some folks ill, with area hospitals saying dozens of people are showing up in emergency rooms complaining of nausea and other symptoms. At this hour, 4 people have been hospitalized. Doug McElway is joining us now live from Bell, West Virginia, with the very latest on the situation. Doug?
That's right, Uma. We are here at a water distribution center just about 15 miles east of Charleston. There has been a steady stream of people coming in virtually all morning long with thermoses, water jugs, milk cartons, you name it, to replenish their water supplies. It is one of 16 such facilities set up here in Kanawha County in West Virginia. People behaving very calmly. There is absolutely no panic whatsoever. That was not entirely the case yesterday when news of this water emergency first broke.
When the water company put out the do not use order, a lot of people rushed the big bag stores, the convenience stores to get water. First people got it, the people that got there a little bit later didn't get it, so it caused some civil disturbances in certain areas. We had to get law enforcement involved.
And last night, the president of the chemical company that caused the spill met with reporters just outside of the gates where the spill happened.
I prepared a short statement, and then would like to start by sincerely apologizing to the people in the affected counties of West Virginia. Our friends and our neighbors, this incident is extremely unfortunate, unanticipated, and we are very, very sorry.
Those apologies may not go very far. Even before the first day of this crisis had ended, there were something like 800 calls to poison centers across the state. There were 6 admissions to hospitals, or 4 admissions to hospitals. 6 lawsuits were filed against the West Virginia American Water Company and also Freedom Industries. One of those lawsuits filed by a man who was scheduled to undergo a kidney transplant. The surgery had to be canceled. He therefore had to go back to dialysis, which contributed, the lawsuit says, to his pain and suffering. Now, let's get to the chemical in question. It is 4-methylcyclohexane methanol. It's a foaming agent used in the processing of coal, specifically to wash the sulfur off the exterior of the coal before it goes to market, as mandated by the federal government. We're hearing conflicting views about the toxicity of this stuff. Here again is the president of the company that caused the spill.
The chemical has a very, very low toxicity. So if you look at the technical data that's available on the product, it has no effect on aquatic life.
I'm sure that's some comfort to aquatic life, but what about to human life? According to the CDC, this chemical may cause irritation of the eyes, skin, upper respiratory system, and headaches. In animals, it may cause unconsciousness and liver and kidney damage. That is no small concern in this largely rural area where a lot of people own livestock, a lot of people depend on livestock. We are hearing, as I said, of 4 hospital admissions yesterday, people experiencing nausea and vomiting, but there's no indication as of yet that is directly related to the ingestion of water. We've been hearing of lots of visits to emergency rooms, in fact, people being taken to other emergency rooms because of overcrowding. But we would suggest that in cases like this, as has often happened in the past, when you get a major scare like this, a lot of these symptoms tend to be psychosomatic. But the bottom line here is nobody yet knows when this water crisis will end. Huma, back to you.
Wow, very difficult and tough situation for the residents out there. Doug, thank you so much for that.
Guys, did you hear what he said? This might be psychosomatic. Hey, I want to tell you something. The people that live in this area, this is going to haunt them for the rest of their lives. Every time you go to take a drink of water or you go to take a shower, it's going to be in the back of your mind. Could there be part of the water system that got missed, that didn't get drained? Could I be the one person in the 300,000 that drinks this stuff or takes a shower with it? Or what about the animals? You know how much water a cow drinks? What are you going to do? Sit there with bottled water? Here you go, Bessie. Here, have another. Can you imagine? I mean, this is crazy. So, I want to get back to the fact that because everything I do here, and I want to apologize because I tell you, in doing my research, and I really wanted to see if the Koch brothers are behind this, but in doing my research, I managed to, print some articles. And as I was looking at one of the articles, I saw the Freedom Works company. And I decided to call them up. So I called the company, and I was going to give them the business. So the phone's ringing, and I'm saying, gee, that's funny, because you would think that a lot of people are calling Freedom Industries to find out what's going on. So anyway, the phone's ringing. A woman picks up, good morning. Freedom Industries. And I said, hi. And I said, one word led to another. And I said, well, aren't you, what are you guys doing to defend your company against the chemical spill? And she goes, we had nothing to do with the chemical spill. And I go, oh, here we go. Here, now she's going to give me the double reverse. And she goes, no. She goes, you're thinking of you're thinking of Freedom Industries from West Virginia. You're calling Freedom Industries in North Carolina. And I said to myself, Rich, you've just done the one thing that you're always chastising everybody about. You didn't check your sources. You didn't bother to look at the paper. So guys, I owe it to myself. And I'll probably do it again. But the lady was so nice. Her name was Lee, and she said, Rich, she goes, you wouldn't believe the hate email that we're getting. And she goes, we're being threatened. And I'm saying, and I'm one of those boneheads that just picked up the phone and didn't bother to look. You know, I didn't check my sources. Hey, life is a learning process, you know, so I'm teaching but I'm man enough to give myself the business as well. But guys, getting back to really what I want to touch on, you know, with the idea, and like I said to my buddy Uncle Joe, I said, Joe, I just have a feeling that the Koch brothers are behind this, and I'm going to read you some articles. And as I read them, John's going to go through some different stills. So you can look at the stills while I'm reading this. But this is from the West Virginia Chemical Spill Company was exempt from EPA inspections. More than 300,000 people. Now there's a date, but there's no individual name here. So, you know, I you know how I like to quote the sources, but there isn't one here. So, but it's more than 300,000 people in 9 counties near Charleston, West Virginia, remain without safe tap water 4 days after a chemical spill from Freedom Industries overflowed into the Elk River. The company responsible for spilling approximately 7,500 gallons of toxic 4-methylacyclazine mentholol Thursday was not subject to any permits or inspections. Imagine that, no permits or inspections. The New York Times reported, according to the Department of Environmental Protection officials, Freedom Industries, which owns the chemical tank that ruptured, is exempt from Department of Environmental Protection inspections and permitting since it stores chemicals and does not produce them. Governor Earl Ray Tomblin has since vowed to look into tighter regulation of chemical storage facilities, but looking into additional regulations is not the same as actually implementing them. The current political climate has been dominated by Republicans pushing to eliminate the Environmental Protection Agency and rollbacks on government regulations for businesses. Additionally, the chemical spilled was used to wash coal before it's sent to market, and the coal industry has a powerful deregulation lobby. Freedom's Cripple holding tank might not have passed an inspection if one were conducted. The leaky tank was part of an old Pennzoil refinery dating back to the 30s or 40s, a county official told CNN. And Charleston's Mayor Jones believed the chemicals went through holes in a retaining wall. Since the inch-wide holes in the retaining wall were big enough to see, there's a chance Freedom Industries might have known that their 70, 80, or to 80-year-old tanks were in need of replacement or repair. It is therefore possible that the company did not incur the expense of fixing them because they didn't have to. Can you imagine that, guys? They didn't fix the tanks because they didn't have to. All right, John, can you come back to me? Can you flip back and forth? There you go.